Hello people, in this video let us look at the fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. That is, there are more than one fetus in the uterus, and what are the complications to the fetus, right? We want to look at the complications to the fetus. Maternal complications we have already finished. So now let us look at the problems to the fetus. So there are more chances of abortion. Miscarriage rate is increased, especially with monozygotic twins. See, congenital malformations can lead to abortions also. So congenital malformations can be in monozygotic twins, the chances of congenital malformations are more, isn't it? So basically abortion etc. can be related to this. Then coming to vanishing twin or fetus. Now what happens here? Vanishing twin. So what happens? There can be intrauterine death of one fetus. So this again is in monozygotic twins. So this loss occurs usually in the first trimester. So the twin that is affected is just, it vanishes by resorption. Okay. So initially there will be two like this. Let's say this is actually a very big image, very big babies. They are talking about the first trimester. The affected fetus, which is having an intrauterine death, will vanish by resorption. Okay. So it will get scavenged by the body automatically. So that's good, right? So the other baby at least is not affected. So then, what is this vanishing twin, vanishing fetus? So basically, if the death occurs within the first trimester, the vanishing twin happens. Otherwise, if it does not go die in the first trimester, if it dies in the second trimester, let's put that here. So here, if there is death occurs during second trimester, there is something called as fetus papyraceous or compressus may form. Okay, so that word has been actually written here. So basically both of these are same, they are saying. Fetus papyraceous, fetus compressus, both of these are same, they are saying. Basically here what is happening, the fetus which dies, okay, the dead fetus is flattened, mummified and compressed between the membranes of the living fetus and the uterine wall. So if it dies after the first trimester, that's in the second trimester, it basically what will happen, it will get mummified. So papyraceous or compressus. So the dead fetus is flattened, mummified and compressed between the membranes of the living fetus and the uterine wall. So the membranes of the living fetus and the uterine wall. So let us say, this is the uterine wall. This is the membrane of the living fetus. So here's a dead fetus. So the dead fetus is flattened, mummified and compressed between the membranes of the living fetus and the uterine wall. So in ultrasonography, in sonography, they can discover this. Fetus acardious. Acardious. What do you mean? A means it's not there, right? Fetus acardious. So basically, without a heart. Parts of one fetus remains amorphous and becomes parasitic without a heart. That is a problem. So one of them doesn't have a heart, but it becomes a parasite. So that is bad, right? So that becomes acardious. Part of one fetus remains amorphous and becomes parasitic without a heart. So that is acardious. Look at this. This placenta is showing one umbilical cord here, one here and one here. So this is kind of a triplet pregnancy. I think the two babies here, they have taken out. This one is still attached here. Can you see this one? Definitely you can see it doesn't have a proper head, brain, etc. Acephalous and acardious. It doesn't even have a heart. Okay, no heart, no brain, is it? Acephalous, no head. So this is actually a triplet pregnancy. So this is what is the labeling of this diagram. Acephalous, acardious fetus in a triplet pregnancy. So basically you have understood these terminologies: papyraceous, compressus, fetus acardious, cardiacus. Okay. So now, so that is all about vanishing twin, intrauterine death of one fetus, etc. But guys, there are some conditions where the death of one fetus, okay, that dead twin can liberate thromboplastin. Okay, and then via placenta and the placental anastomosis, these things, the thromboplastins, etc., can reach the other co-twin, and the surviving twin can have cerebral palsy, microcephaly, renal cortical necrosis, DIC, etc. Especially if there is monochorion, okay, that is single placenta is there. So what will happen if there is single placenta, right? Something like this, let us say, if there was a single placenta, so in these cases, if there is death of one guy, the thromboplastins can reach and it can be harmful to the other baby, okay? So that can happen. So intrauterine death of one fetus is not as simple as a scavenging kind of a job, okay? Now let us come to this terminology, appearing twin, guys. Appearing twin. Appearing twin means is as simple as this. In the initial days of the pregnancy, they did not detect a twin pregnancy, but later stages they are detecting a twin pregnancy. Now let's come to discordant growth. Look at this photo to understand discordant growth. Discordant growth means one twin is, you know, big and one is small. Like in this case, this guy is 2.6 kg and this guy is 1.3 kg, okay? So basically this is discordant growth. Some amount of discordance will be there. They are saying it is okay. But if the discordance, the weight difference is 25% or more, right? Then that's a true pathological discordance. This can be because of twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, placental insufficiency, IUGR, that is intrauterine growth restriction, or from structural anomalies, okay? So basically we have written those reasons here, you can see. Discordant growth can be due to twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, placental insufficiency, IUGR, structural anomalies, okay, which can lead to one baby becoming big and the other becoming small. But this is not as simple as that, okay? There is what is this twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, especially in monochorionic, okay? We are not talking about monozygotic, monochorionic, that is a single placenta. What happens is one guy becomes a donor, the other baby can become a recipient, okay? So this guy, what will happen through some anastomosis here, it's a single placenta, remember, the blood always flows to this guy. So this guy will go into congestive cardiac failure. He'll have Polyhydramnios, etc. This guy will have Oliohydramnios. This guy will start becoming small and small and small. And this guy will becoming big and big and big. So this is the twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. In this case, actually the guy who has a better chance of survival, in case you want to save one, will be the smaller one, because this larger one actually can have congestive cardiac failure because all this volume overload, I'm guessing, right? So basically this bigger guy, what is happening to him? He can have this guy is called as a plethoric twin, okay? Plethoric twin, he'll have excess body fluid, blood, right? So he will have congestive cardiac failure, hydrops he can have, okay? He can have hydrops then. So that is why when they are saying when you're doing selective reduction, okay? Selective reduction, now let us say something like one is the donor, the other is the plethoric. So basically the selective reduction, if they are doing, they want to save the smaller one, the larger one, the plethoric twin. Let's not say the larger one, the plethoric twin. It runs the risk of congestive cardiac failure and hydrops. Congenital abnormalities are more, they are saying. And what else you should know? There are other ways they are trying to save both the babies. If they want to save both the babies, they are saying that if this guy is the bigger guy, right, with the polyhydramnios, they are doing amniocentesis to control this polyhydramnios, okay, in the recipient twin. And then they are talking about some septostomy, making a hole in the dividing amniotic membrane. So between the dividing amniotic membrane, if there's a membrane in the middle, they are trying to do some septotomy so that this guy has more fluid around him, polyhydramnios. This guy has lesser fluid around it, oligohydramnios. So they're trying to make some hole here, is it? Okay. Or if they want to do selective reduction, they're choosing the guy who's the donor, okay, not the plethoric twin. So all this, did you understand, guys? And all this happens where if there is single placenta, monochorionic placenta, okay. Okay, so now let us move on, guys. There is something called as twin reversed arterial perfusion. That is also in monochorionic conditions. So monochorionic conditions, you know, what and all will be there? Twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, TTTS, can be there, that you have looked at. There can be a dead fetus, we told you. Then it can cause the risk of risk for the other fetus. Then now we are looking at this one, TRAP, that is twin reversed arterial perfusion. So here what is happening? So basically here they are talking about acardiac perfused twin. So this is a twin who doesn't have its heart, right, acardiac, but it is being perfused. How? It is getting the bloods. He is getting his blood supply. He is getting perfused nicely. How? Without a heart. That is by a co-twin. So there is a co-twin whose heart is pumping for this guy. So this guy heart is pumping more cardiac output. His arterial pressure will be more. He'll have to pump for the sake of this guy. Okay, so this guy also will not have good chance of survival. This guy anyways doesn't have a chance of survival. He doesn't have a heart, right? So you understood that this is the trap. So the management is controversial. They are saying you have to ligate the umbilical cord of the acardiac twin. You do some fetoscopy and you go and ligate this umbilical cord of the acardiac twin. So did you understand twin-to-twin perfusion syndrome and trap? It's kind of confusing, isn't it? See, let's explain that again. See, twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, what is happening? Both the fetuses have heart. At least both of them have what? A heart. Functioning heart. But still this guy is a donor and this guy is a recipient. This guy becomes big and this guy becomes small. Okay. There is no acardia. Both of them have hearts. When it comes to trap, one guy doesn't have a heart. Right? This guy has a heart. This guy's heart is perfusing the other guy. Right? So basically again, in this case, in trap, both of them have bad prognosis. But in TTTS, if they do selective reduction, the smaller one has a better chance of survival, not the one with the congestive cardiac failure. Because of all the volume overload, looks like this guy went into congestive cardiac failure. So did you understand, guys? TTTS, trap, all this will happen mostly in, these are exclusive to monochorionic, remember. We are not talking about monozygotic, chorionic. So if there is single placenta only, all these problems. What are the problems with monochorionic? Twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. If there is one dead fetus, then it can lead to the problems. It can lead to problems for the other twin. So that is dead twin will lead to thromboplastin liberation, etc., which will cause problem for the other twin. Trap you saw, where there is perfusion of the acardiac twin. In this, both of them will have problem. Okay, then we will come to monochorion can have a monoamnion, right? So you can see here, monochorionic can become diamniotic, monochorionic can become monoamniotic, right? In this photo here, what you're seeing, this is monochorionic, it's a single placenta, but two amniotic sacs are there, right? And in this case, you're seeing monochorion with monoamnion. Both of them have same amniotic sac and same placenta. This is the one which leads to conjoined twins, etc. So anyways, whenever there is single placenta in these two conditions, that can be all that trap, TTTS, yes, all those conditions, monochorionic conditions will have all these TTTS, trap, dead fetus syndrome, okay, and then monoamniosity can happen, which can lead to cord entanglement. Just imagine here, there is no separation between these two. This guy's cord entanglement, this guy's cord entanglement, all this can happen in monoamniosity, right? It can lead to conjoined twins, like this one here. The condition is also called a Siamese twins, is it? They can be attached at the xiphisternum or the thorax or the abdomen or the head. So you have cephalopagus, thoracopagus, omphalopagus, is it? So many xiphipagus, so many terminologies are there, right? So hope you have understood. If you do not know the types of twins, you will not be able to understand the terminologies that we are telling you, isn't it? Just go back and look at that video. So in this video, you are trying to look at the fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. So we looked at monochorionic. There will be TTTS, dead fetus syndrome, then trap, then monoamniosity, amniosity, in which there can be called entanglement, and lastly we have to write conjoined twins, okay, or Siamese twin. So all this is coming in, we explained all this in fetal complications of multiple pregnancy, okay. Let's move on, guys. Basically, under discordant growth only, we were seeing twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, placental insufficiency, IUGR, that is intrauterine growth restriction, structural anomalies, etc. Do you know what are the common anomalies that can happen? You saw that there can be cardiac anomalies mostly, right? Otherwise, other anomalies, anencephaly. Anencephaly means what? Anencephaly means no brain and skull, okay. Brain and skull won't be there. Hydrocephalus, full of fluid, right? Then microcephaly, small head, right? Microcephaly. Then cardiac anomalies, which we have already told you about. So there will be, there can be Down syndrome. That is a chromosomal anomaly. Why will there be a chromosomal anomaly? I disagree with that. Because, see, Downs and all is because of fertilization, right? It is an issue with the separation of these chromosomes. So, what is that called as? Non-disjunction, isn't it? So, let's not get confused with Downs and twins here. Now, coming to, okay, we have finished this much. Now, let's go to preterm birth. There can be preterm birth. How's it going, people? Is it becoming too much? We are almost at the end, okay? Don't worry. So, now we have finished all these things, right? Growth and all that. Now, we will come to the delivery part of it, okay? Preterm birth. Why do you think there will be preterm birth? Because the uterus is so distended. We already told you that in the maternal complications, we have already told you that there can be preterm labor. There can be premature rupture of membrane and there can be preterm labor, okay? Now, cord prolapse. Cord prolapse means the cord is coming out first. This is very dangerous, right? Umbilical cord prolapse is a indication for C-section. Because if the cord is coming out first, what will happen? The cord will constrict and there will be no blood supply to the fetus. So, cord prolapse is a dangerous thing. So, that can be an indication for cesarean. Then, look at this terminology here. Locked twins. What is happening with this locked twins? One guy is locking the other. One guy, both of them don't make way for each other to come out, looks like. You go first, no. Both of them have locked each other, neither one is coming out, looks like. See, the after coming head of the first baby, which is the first baby, this one. After coming head of the first baby gets locked with the forecoming head of the second baby. The second baby's head is down. The first baby was a breech, looks like. So, the baby's after coming head of the first baby getting interlocked with the forecoming head of the second baby. We'll have to do some vaginal manipulations, separate the chins of these fetus, etc. Right? So, that is why hospitalization is required. A hospital delivery is important. Otherwise, you have to do, if you can't do all the separation, you have to do cesarean. Okay? Decapitation of the first baby, if already dead. Okay, they'll have to do that. If it's already dead, they'll have to decapitate the first baby so that they can push this decapitated head and make way for the delivery of the second baby. And then after that, they will remove the decapitated head. So, sounds scary, isn't it? So, at least they'll try to save one baby. There can also be yet another type of locking where both heads of, the heads of both vertex twins get locked at the pelvic brim. Both the head only has come out, is it? So, that will be like, if this is the pelvic outlet, both the heads are there here. Both the heads. Both, two heads of both vertex getting locked at the pelvic brim, preventing engagement of either of the head. So, that also can happen. Okay. And let us say these twins are attached to each other. What can you do, right? They are totally attached to each other like this one here. How will they even deliver, isn't it? Both of them being attached to each other. It's again so complicated. So, that's why what are we looking at in this video? Fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. This actually looks like a maternal complication also to me. You see, in maternal complication, we just left off this point as a prolonged labor. But that was again, they said it's a theoretical concept because once a baby comes out, the next baby comes out very easily. That's what they said. But here, if it is locked, etc., conjoined, etc., you can imagine prolonged labor can happen, isn't it? Now, where are we? Here. So there can be increased perinatal mortality. Perinatal mortality is for whom? Is for the baby. Right? Just before birth, at birth, after birth, immediately after birth. So there can be asphyxia. There can be stillbirth. Stillbirth means the baby is born dead. Okay, that's what it means. Stillbirth. It is you're delivering a dead baby. That is stillbirth. Okay. So this asphyxia, stillbirth, why will all this happen? Because there can be preeclampsia, malpresentation, placental abruption, and they might use a lot of vacuum, forceps, etc. There is increased operative interference, etc. So there can be stillbirth and asphyxia. But the thing you should understand here is this problem, etc., is the risk is more for the second baby, not for the first baby. Why? Because once the first baby is delivered, there can be retraction of uterus, is it, leading to placental insufficiency, the operative interference you did, there could be a cord prolapse, right? So, the cord of the second baby can come out and probably it can get, what did we want to say? Constricted, leading to impaired blood flow for the second baby. Okay, so complications are more for, risk is more for the second baby. And where did you see all the complications being more? In monozygotic twins. Okay, so we have kind of looked at all the complications of fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. It was a huge journey to look at all this, isn't it? So hospital delivery is what they are telling should happen, where you will have a skilled obstetrician, you'll have neonatologists, you need at least multiple neonatologists, right? Because if there are more than one child, then you should have ultrasound facilities, especially if they are doing external, internal version, etc. They are saying that these babies usually will be small, so you don't need to have so much analgesia, but epidural analgesia is preferred, okay? Then you have to do fetal monitoring, electronic fetal monitoring you should be doing. Then you should be very careful about cord prolapse, okay? So there are a lot of ways of specifics about delivering the babies, but anyways, in this video we only wanted to look at the fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. In general, just look at this scheme of management of twins during labor. Very quickly we are looking at this. If both are twin vertex, if one guy is a vertex presentation, the other guy is a non-vertex, okay? First baby they are delivering vaginally, then their cord is divided in between two clamps, okay, that's what you do for the first baby. Methergin should not be given because the second baby still has to come. Don't give methergin, okay, so otherwise the uterus will contract, isn't it? Then you will note the lie of the second baby clinically or by ultrasound. Then you will check whether it's a transverse lie or a longitudinal lie. Transverse lie is kind of very difficult, isn't it? So they are doing a version. And then they are trying, anyways, we'll go this side. Longitudinal lie it is. You will do artificial rupture of membranes for the second baby. Look at this. So it is diamniotic, I'm guessing. Then they are giving oxytocin if necessary. Okay, and then where is this? Sorry, it just went off here and there. Look at this. If there is delay, they are using forceps, ventos delivery. So looks like this operative interference is more for the second baby. That's why they said second baby has more risk. Forceps, ventos, etc. So operative interference, what they told here is for the second baby. So they will do more operative interference for the second baby. So that's it, guys. In this video you have looked at the fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. So this is a series of videos where we have looked at what multiple pregnancy is, what Helen's rule is, right? And then we have looked at the types of twins, right? Dizygotic twins, monozygotic twins. Under that you can have dichorionic, diamniotic, monochorionic, monoamniotic, monochorionic, monoamniotic, See, all these twins you have looked at. Then you have seen what are the cause of multiple pregnancy, why are twins born or triplets, etc. Right? Then you have looked at maternal complications of multiple pregnancy. You looked at so many causes, isn't it? Do you remember all the causes that you have seen? Right? And then now in this video we have come to look at the fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. We saw that there can be abortion, congenital malformations, fetal anomalies, vanishing twin, intrauterine death of one fetus, fetus papyraceous, compressus, acardiacus. Monochorionic twins can have TTTS, that is twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, dead fetus syndrome, right? TRAP, that is a reversal, what was it? TRAP, full form? Twin reversed arterial perfusion. Let's write that here. Twin reversed arterial perfusion, TRAP, okay. And then this monochorion condition can have monoamnion condition, where there can be cord entanglement, conjoined twins, etc. Appearing twin is where they initially did not know it's twin. Later on they found out that it's twins in the later part of the pregnancy. Discordant growth is one twin, having a different development than the other. So that can happen because of twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which is seen in monochorionic twins. It can happen that there can be placental insufficiency, intrauterine growth restriction, structural anomalies which can lead to discordant growth. Discordant growth is shown in this photo, where one is 2.6 kgs, the other is 1.3 kgs. What they say is the smaller twin has a better chance of survival, because the bigger one can have congestive cardiac failure because of overload, I'm guessing. Preterm birth can happen, prematurity can happen, cord prolapse can happen, locked twins, which you saw where they are so locked, one won't allow the delivery of the other, kind of a thing. Then the perinatal mortality increases, especially for the second baby, asphyxia, stillbirth. This can happen because of retraction of the uterus leading to placental insufficiency, more operative interference on the second baby, cord prolapse can happen, etc. And always complications are more in monozygotic twins, okay. Then we just saw a scheme of management of twins during labor, a very high level one. And what else? That's it, guys, in this video on fetal complications of multiple pregnancy. We'll meet you in the next video. Bye bye.